Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite Studios here in Oklahoma City. You're watching hashtag OTUmedia. This is Let the People Decide. I'm going to be your host for this evening, Moto, and a great show that we have for you indeed. Before we get started, though, I want to remind everyone to go to the website, oklahomataxpayersunite.com/OTU-store if you want to buy some t-shirts or some active duty RX clarity and focus and help support the mission around here. Also, you can go to www.patreon.com/OTUmedia. There you can sign up to be a monthly contributor. Send us as little as $1 a month. It helps. But you can sign up for some very impressive packages there that include social media consultation, access to our studios and producers. So go check it out. Also, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel, Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite. Click the bell. I know you think you might be subscribed, but make sure you click the bell so that you get the notifications and you can find us on Facebook. So let's get started for the evening. We've got a lot of stuff. We've got breaking news with the Jeffrey Epstein child sex trafficking scandal that's about to come down on half of the Washington swamp. We've got Nancy Pelosi having a very hard time controlling her chitlins in the House. And we've got tensions heating up in the Strait of Hormuz. There was a conflict between the UK and Iran involving one of their tankers, the British Heritage. So we're going to get into all of that after we get back from the break. You guys stay tuned and keep supporting our efforts here at OTUmedia. Thank you.
Drives a truck. Visit cdluniversity.org. At CDL University, and another success, another one drives a truck. Hey, gonna help you too. Another one drives a truck.
Hey everybody, Todd Tucker here, and everyone who knows me knows I love to read a great book, and right now I'm reading this incredible novel by local author Richard Engel. All you have to do is go to LastAmericanPresident.com and save big right now on this book. The Last American President is a story about political intrigue, romance, betrayal set against the backdrop of the dissolution of the United States of America. It's great reading, and when you go to LastAmericanPresident.com, use the promo code OTU, you're going to save money. And not only that, but half the price comes back to OTU. So half the proceeds from this book come back so you can watch great programming like you see on the OTU Media Network every day. LastAmericanPresident.com. I highly recommend this book. Read it today.
All right, guys, we're back. It's Let the People Decide. I'm Moto. Let's talk about World War III. It's been heating up for a while, and all of the neocons and the war hawks in President Trump's cabinet are chomping at the bit for all-out warfare with Iran. We've seen a lot of attacks or events or what the U.S. would call provocations in the Strait of Hormuz lately. You might recall May 12th, there were Norwegian, Saudi, and UAE vessels that were attacked. And then again on June 13th, we actually had some grainy video from U.S. intelligence, though, of Iranian Republican Guard boats removing an unexploded mine from one of the tankers that they attacked. Very odd attack if you're trying to sink oil tankers. You would think that they would plant those mines below the waterline, but in any case, lots of smoke, couple holes in some boats, big statement and rhetoric from the U.S. State Department and the National Security Advisor, but ultimately what this boils down to is a proxy conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So they're competing petrol powers in the Persian Gulf. Now, Saudi Arabia and Iran are the only ones that can ship their oil out without the Strait of Hormuz in that area, as they both have alternate access. But about 30% of the world's oil supply goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So these types of things play all kinds of havoc on your markets and the prices of a barrel of oil. Certain countries don't know if they're even going to be able to get the shipments that they're ordering in. I saw, actually, I think it might have been another British tanker was going to pick up oil, and actually the order got canceled. So then they were just kind of floating out there in the middle of the Persian Gulf with no oil to get and no word on what was going to happen militarily. So we're watching this go back and forth, and then on the 4th of July, we saw there was an Iranian tanker, not in the Persian Gulf, but in Gibraltar, a British colony, and it was bound for Syria, but at the urging of the U.S. government, the UK seized this tanker. Now, the Iranians are kind of hysterical with this, that due to the name of the tanker, it was called Grace 1, the implication being that the gracious Iranians are sending oil to the Syrians to help in their efforts against ISIS and radical Wahhabists and Israel and the United States and Turkey. Syria is still a hotbed, folks. I know it's not in the news, but that is still probably the most active geopolitical spot on earth right now. If somebody tells you Venezuela, if somebody tells you Iran, so be it. But all of these powers, Russia, the United States, Iran, Israel, were all in this sandbox in Syria. And it's muddy water because you've got countries like Turkey that are traditionally NATO countries and allies of the United States, but very much at odds with our interest in northern Syria with the Kurds. So very interesting situation. But after this latest incident, I'll read from an RT article here. The UK has confirmed reports that its warships stopped Iranian patrol boats from blocking a British tanker that was sailing through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran says these claims are absolutely worthless. Apparently, the Royal Navy frigate HMS Montrose had to position itself between the British vessel British Heritage and the Iranian Republican Guard boats that were attempting to divert it away or out of international waters and into Iranian territory. Of course, at which time I'm sure they would have seized the vessel tit for tat for seizing their tanker going through Gibraltar. But immediately after that, yesterday, the Gibraltar police arrested the Iranian captain of the Grace 1 also. So it looks like we're going into hostage situations as well as seizing assets and vessels. It's only a matter of time. You can only have so many $130 million drones shot down and have so many boats get seized and so many spectacles that are in the public eye before one of these dogs is not going to be able to back down from the fight. So we might be looking at the genesis of World War III based on this petrodollar conflict happening in the Strait of Hormuz. I hope that's not the case. I don't want war. I voted for President Trump to stop conflicts all over the globe. So I'm not interested in going to war in Venezuela. I'm not interested in being in Syria any longer. I'm not interested in going to war with Iran. I'm definitely not interested in war with Russia. So thus far, I'm very happy to say that President Trump has resisted the advice of his military neocon warhawks, even firing legendary Marine Corps General Mad Dog Mattis because he would not quit pushing for war in Syria. You're fired. And thank you, President Trump, for that decision. I support it 100% as a Marine Corps veteran myself. So, all right, that's what's going on right now. The Iranians are denying that any of this happened, but the British military has confirmed it. So, all right, we are going to talk about some more international stuff coming up, as well as some domestic stuff. We got word that the ICE raids are supposed to begin this Sunday, so a lot of liberal think tanks and Democrat candidates gearing up to message the narrative that Donald Trump is Hitler and he's in charge of the country and we need to impeach him. And yet somehow in the very next breath, they're going to also say that they need to take away your guns and make sure that only the police and the military have them. So cognitive dissonance rampant on the left. My body, my choice until it comes to vaccines. But I don't want to get kicked off Facebook, so we won't talk about anything non-vaxxer. We're all good little minions and followers around here. Poke me as many times as you need to. All right, we'll be back from the break. You guys don't go anywhere.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula with 17 essential supplements. When it matters most, you've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Cantech Labs.
What's up, guys? Hashtag let the people decide. I'm Moto. I'm your host this evening. Let's press ever forward. Next, we're going to talk about illegal immigration. And we're going to watch a video during the break about an amazing group headed up by Brian Colfaggy called We Build the Wall. They've already gotten more than a mile built on the southern border, and it is deterring illegal immigration. They built it specifically and strategically in one of the highest traffic areas on our southern border. But if you remember, I think it might have been about 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago, President Trump sent out some tweets, and he told illegal immigrants not to get very comfortable because you're going to be being removed very, very soon. And it looks like that President Trump is making good on that promise. There's another round of ICE raids that are supposed to begin on Sunday. And these people are going to be deported, okay? They're not going to be taken to concentration camps and gassed in bushels, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. One of the key features of a concentration camp is that you can't leave. So any of these people are free to leave our detention centers and go back where they came from. And if it's so terrible here, I'm not sure why they would be headed this direction in the first place. But there's a new migrant camp that's being built southwest of San Antonio, Carrizo Springs. They've got plans to put 250 kids there right now, but it should be expanding to 1,300 by the time they're done, which will make it one of the biggest in the country. So that's probably some infrastructure preparation for these deportations. But it's not a matter of heartlessness. You got to know how many people are in your house, or you're not going to have enough food in the cupboard. Not to mention wear and tear on your roads and bridges, law enforcement, sending money Walmart to Walmart back out of the country. You know, I went to a Kinder Horn event to harass her a little bit about the border. And one of her supporters that was there, a young black girl, very nice until she was triggered. And then she was not very nice. In fact, the police got a little concerned that we were going to have a heated exchange. But I'm very happy to let psychotic liberals act like psychotic liberals. Anyways, she tried to tell me that you can't get a paycheck unless you have a social security number. So these immigrants had to be paying taxes or else they couldn't get paid from their jobs. My response to which was to pull my wallet and a $5 bill out and ask her if she had ever opened a lemonade stand before. So, we have the problem of our currency being paid untaxed and then being Walmart to Walmarted back out of the country. And those are just some of the problems that you have with illegal immigration. That's not even mentioning infiltration by international terror groups, the amount of fentanyl that's made its way across the border. I saw a great video online this morning of a Coastie jumping on top of a drug smuggling submarine and punching it until they opened the door and he arrested him. But it's gotten so absurd that they're proposing that President Trump can't even have the question of citizenship on our census. So you can't ask on the U.S. Census whether someone is a U.S. citizen or not. By the way, that's something to be proud of. It's the greatest nation on earth and the only one there should be. But why would these Democrats be going so crazy that they're openly telling us they don't want to know who is a citizen and who's not? What would make that a logical avenue of approach for them? Well, in my opinion, it's the process of elimination, mixed with a little bit of the fact that there is no tomorrow for these people. They are watching votes leave the Democrat Party by the millions. There is a mass exodus, especially in the minority communities in America right now, from the Democrat voting rolls. So they need millions, probably tens of millions of new voters that are in the equation that were not a part of the presidential election in 2016. Quite frankly, because too many Americans voted for President Trump and they know that will happen again. He's delivering on everything that he told us he would do, promises made and promises kept. So hashtag Blexit. You see Candace Owens and Turning Point and PragerU leading this amazing campaign online and in the media against these myths that have been told by the Democrat Party for the last 5 decades. And what you witness from the Democrats, because they recognize it also, is that they have abandoned the black vote. Now they are completely obsessed with the Hispanic vote and the LGBT PIAQ 7,000 plus community, because they see those as the only wells they can go to replace this mass exodus of the black vote. Also, that's the only reason I could fathom why they would be insane enough to publicly support giving felons who are incarcerated currently the ability to vote. Because they're looking at boxes full of a bunch of warm bodies and they want to put ballots in their hands so that they stand a chance. They might still lose and probably will still lose no matter what they do, but it is irrefutable that if you have the same people voting in 2020 that voted in 2016, it is going to be another Trump landslide. So the elitist Democrats are completely disconnected from the American people. They're relying on data and metrics from marketing firms who are probably just filling them full of a bunch of sunshine anyways. And that's what we saw in 2016 when the media and every pundit on the planet was convinced Hillary Clinton was going to win. No chance Donald Trump was going to be the president of the United States. And all of their cronies were actually so sure that they were super sloppy in the rear guard. And now we're catching them everywhere. Child sex trafficking scandals, FISA abuse. All of it's coming unwound right before our eyes and right before 2020. We couldn't ask for a better situation than this. And Nancy Pelosi's got her own party that is giving her a hell of a time in her caucus, and now even calling her racist. The left is eating their own. They created this fantastical world that doesn't exist with a bunch of fanatical, useful idiot liberals like AOC. And now this monster that they've raised has gotten out of control, and you see Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats trying to minimalize that group of people. That's just 4 or 5 people. Who cares? Oh, well, it's 4 or 5 people when you're headed into 2020 and you're going to have a hard time holding on to the House, period. So I wouldn't make those ladies just too upset, Nancy Pelosi, or else they might vote against you for spite, and then your entire political status quo that you've done all of this calculating for and spent all this money for and promised all these favors to all these donors for is going to go up in smoke. I can't wait to see it. We're going to be right here at Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite and hashtag OTUmedia watching it happen. All right, guys, we're going to take another quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula with 17 essential supplements. When it matters most, you've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Cantech Labs.
Greetings, salutations. This is Moto with OTUmedia, here to tell you about the latest product on our shelves. If your boyfriend doesn't have a beard, then you have a girlfriend. Do you need a beard growth formula that's radio frequency programmed for maximum bioavailability? Then you need Bud Brothers Beard Co.'s Beard Growth Formula. Find it at the OTU Media store at www.oklahomataxpayersunite.com/OTU-store and continue to support OTU Media and Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite.
All right, guys, we're back. You're at the bunker. I'm Moto. We're going to talk about this bombshell sex scandal stuff coming out about Mr. Jeffrey Epstein and his good friends, the Clintons. So we're going to climb down this rabbit hole, or attempt to. Believe me, it is dark and convoluted. But we will start in 1973, where Jeffrey Epstein was a humble math teacher, eventually hired by a prestigious private school in Manhattan by, get this, the father of Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr. So William Barr's dad hires Jeffrey Epstein, a math teacher, to come and work at a private school in Manhattan. We'll fast forward a little bit. I just wanted to toss that in there because I found it extremely concerning that somehow or another, all of these people keep ending up tied back together at the hip. Another person in Trump's cabinet who is tied into this Epstein debacle is Trump's labor secretary, Alex Acosta, who is responsible for a very light sentence that Epstein got back in, I believe it was 1993. I could be wrong about that, and I am going to double check. But the Miami Herald recently published an article that renewed a lot of interest in this. And essentially, after being found guilty of seducing and trafficking and abusing underage girls, Jeffrey Epstein was sentenced to 13 months of jail at night. So he had sleep duty at the jail. During the day, he could go and do whatever it was he wanted, which was probably abuse and sell more young girls. But at night, he had to come and sleep there. And he had to register as a sex offender, which we're told now by the New York police that he has not checked in one single time that he's been required to as a registered sex offender. So the way that this came back out is very odd also because it's not federal prosecutors that picked the case back up, and it's actually not even any of Jeffrey Epstein's victims that have picked up the case directly with Epstein or related to the original charges. So what's happened here is a girl by the name of Virginia Roberts, one of Epstein's victims, had broken silence about the charges and about Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Well, his ex-girlfriend, Jeffrey Epstein's, came out as she was involved in the accusations also as a groomer and a recruiter for these girls. She came out and called Virginia Roberts a liar. Well, that opened up a suit for defamation by Virginia Roberts because she could prove in a court of law actually that she was not lying because it was public record. They found Epstein guilty. So she sues the ex-girlfriend. Now here's where we get another big name that pops into the mix that's very, very odd. Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer is none other than Alan Dershowitz. So Dershowitz comes behind the suit filed by Virginia Roberts against Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend and files a suit against Virginia Roberts and her attorneys for defamation and various other things. This is all law. This is all legal fare. This is all lawfare. It's just a high-paid slobber knocker of these rock star attorneys. The other attorney whose name rings a bell, who worked for Jeffrey Epstein, was Ken Starr. So Ken Starr and Dershowitz would even go and research the background and the activities of someone's attorney to try to bully them around in these cases. But what's odd about it is that now Dershowitz is pushing this lawsuit against Virginia Roberts because it will force the courts to unseal 2,000 documents that were related to the original case. And Dershowitz will make the point that it's public interest and now, people need to know. I personally would like to see all of these documents. So despite whatever it was that led us to this point, I want to see these documents. And I think that Jeffrey Epstein is probably a placeholder for many other very well-off pedophiles and powerful people who are involved in all of this. Remember, there's thousands of sealed indictments right now. They unsealed this one against Jeffrey Epstein, but there's thousands of indictments that probably mirror it perfectly. I also saw that authorities in Chicago had arrested R. Kelly on federal sex trafficking crimes also. So something is happening. There's a record number of child sex trafficking and sex trafficking charges being followed through on from President Trump's presidency. Now remember, the FBI and the authorities knew that Epstein was doing these things. He was an informant for the FBI under Bob Mueller. So this big incestuous cesspool of people just keeps tying its ends together. And a lot about what you're hearing in the news, Pedo Island, Little St. James. It's an island that Epstein bought in 1998 for $7.5 million, almost $8 million. President Bill Clinton has made multiple trips to what's referred to even by locals and people that work there as Pedo Island. Okay? Now, President Clinton has even ditched his Secret Service detail to go and gallivant across this island that also has it's so arrogant and just shameless of these people. There is even a temple structure on a mount on this island with an owl on top that resembles the one from Bohemian Grove. But before I get kicked off the internet for being a conspiracy theorist, I digress. So, like I said, this is a very big tangled mess. There's not a simple answer. This is not part of a Q plan or anything like that to take down Epstein and have dominoes fall. This is, I would say, probably a legal opportunity that happened organically and without the presence of mind of Virginia Roberts or her attorneys to sue Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend for defamation. I don't know that we would even be seeing any of this hit the light of day again. But now mainstream media has to cover it. We're going to hopefully get to see these 2,000 documents. So more coming. But remember, we've had former speakers of the House that we know were having young boys delivered to their D.C. apartments. We've found foreign spies that are driving top-level Democrats around. They're hiring Pakistani terrorists who are trying to flee the country. So, all of these illegal fundraising agreements with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton and the DNC and Fox News firing Bill O'Reilly but hiring Donna Brazile. There's a mess. And the only place that you're going to get information that is not corporate filtered that might give you a chance to tie all these dots together and get the whole picture in focus is alternative and citizen journalism places like this. So projects like ours, please continue to support them. You've seen our production value getting better, and we are going to keep coming. So we're going to take another break, but when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about stuff that's happening here in Oklahoma, stuff that's happening in the Republican Party, and stuff that's happening for us, Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite, and the grassroots. So we'll see you guys when we get back.
Hi, I'm Leslie Nesmith, host of Me, Myself, and Liberty, right here on OTUmedia. I'd like to ask you to go to www.patreon.com/OTUmedia to support us. By going to patreon.com, you are supporting everything that we do here at OTU Media and Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite. We are getting the word out, so join us.
All right, hey guys, it's Moto. You're back in the bunker. We're in the Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite studio. We've been talking about a lot of big breaking news, a lot of international stuff, a lot of stuff that's having to do with national security, border security, the trade wars that are going on. The clock's getting close to midnight, folks. But thank God we have a president like President Trump who is genuinely concerned with the interests of the American people. America first. Which is why President Trump is going to handily win in 2020 again, because unlike career politicians on both sides of the aisle who have been in Washington for decades and decades and make all these promises about what they're going to do, President Donald Trump is going to be running on what he has done. And it's been phenomenal. I think one of the saddest parts about the media environment that we're being exposed to under the Trump presidency is we have such an example of American exceptionalism in the White House in the Trump family right now. You know, not just President Trump, and Melania, who is her own entrepreneurial phenomenon, has multiple brands, speaks more languages than I have fingers and toes, but also his children have companies and foundations, and they're active in the lives of their community. You know, Rudy Giuliani makes a point to advertise the fact that many of the Trump's family's contributions came anonymously, and no one will ever even know that that's where the money came from. So there's really no telling how benevolent and philanthropic the Trump family has been for this last decade. But remember, they weren't demonized, and they weren't racists, and they weren't gonna bring the end of the world until Donald Trump ran against Democrats. So that's what the Trump family is guilty of, is they're running against the Democrat Party. And now even members of the Democrat Party who oppose the radical hard left that they've created, now they're getting threatened with primaries. Now they're getting called racists. And it couldn't have happened to a better bunch of folks. So, but very, very concerning things happening within the Republican Party, like the Koch brothers. You know, they've come out and said that they're going to be willing to support moderate Democrat candidates in 2020. Hello? No, there is no such thing as a moderate Democrat candidate, okay? I'm 100% sure that the Koch brothers understand this, all right? The Democrat Party is structured around super delegates. The voting constituency of the Democrat Party does not mean anything. Nothing. You will do what your walking bosses tell you to do, because they are not under any obligation to vote with the people that they represent. That's why you saw in 2016 that Democrats wanted anyone to vote for besides Hillary Clinton. But the Democrat Party wanted Hillary Clinton. So who did they get? Hillary Clinton. The Republican Party wanted anybody except Donald Trump to get the nomination. But Republicans wanted Donald Trump. So who did we get? We got President Trump, even though they ran 16 people against him. That right there shows you that there is still a difference, slight difference, between the Republican Party and the DNC. Fortunately, that slight difference was enough daylight for patriots and liberty lovers to follow President Trump into battle and start retaking not only our country, but our party. So the Republican Party is my party again. The Republican Party is your party again. And we have President Trump to thank for that, because he led the charge. So, but I do remind people that we did not ride in with President Trump. Though he was the tip of the spear, President Trump rode in with the movement. Hashtag MAGA was coming. We had had enough of all this craziness. And you can bring that all the way down to the Oklahoma GOP also. You see a new brand of leadership emerging in the Oklahoma Republican Party, okay? You know, Oklahoma was a Democrat state for decades and decades. Republicans have only had Oklahoma for 12, 13 years. But unfortunately, and an insult to the hard work that all those good Republicans and conservatives did to take this state away from Democrats, our Republicans at 23rd and Lincoln now are acting like the Democrat Party. They want to grow government. They want to raise taxes. We had our last Republican governor, Mary Phelan, that vetoed our constitutional carry. But now we have Governor Kevin Stitt, who's doing an amazing job, sir. Stay on the attack. One of the best things that lets you know that Governor Stitt is definitely on our side is his executive order for agencies not to hire lobbyists. Makes sense, right? We don't want agencies that suck up public dollars going to the legislature and lobbying them for more dollars to suck up. That's how you wind up with an education system that runs your state with an iron fist. That's how you wind up with labor unions that have all of your politicians in their pockets. That's how you wind up with Supreme Court judges that you must retain because no one has ever heard of doing anything else. So a one-party system has as many flaws as a two-party system. And we wound up in a one-party system here in Oklahoma, and it allowed many rhinos to make their way to the top. But again, new brand of leadership coming in. David McClain, the new chairman for the Oklahoma Republican Party, grassroots, made his bones building Tulsa County into an organization that is exponentially growing from what it was whenever he got it. And that's what we need Republicans, conservatives, leaders that can go in and do the work before someone tells them to, before someone gives them a fancy title. Mike Turner, our vice chair, pro-life, unapologetically conservative, linked in with the grassroots, young, affluent, articulate, but one of us. All the way down to the county levels, we're seeing that happen here in Oklahoma. So I'm very pleased to see that happen from top to bottom. Maybe we'll get lucky and this will become a Senator Right nation again. So, all right. And lastly, guys, we'll come back from the break and we're going to talk about a few of the things that are happening here with Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite and some of the fights we expect to be involved in the very near future. Don't go anywhere.
Over 20 years ago, Alex Jones created the media platform called InfoWars, and in the decades since, it's grown into a truly remarkable institution with over 200 radio affiliates, tens of millions of unique website visitors monthly, and a 24/7 live news TV channel broadcasting from state-of-the-art studios in Austin, Texas. InfoWars has become the most trusted independent news source in the country, dedicated to delivering breaking news, live coverage of special events, and exclusive reports you won't find anywhere else. While the old guard media struggles to maintain supremacy in a landscape rocked by innovation and technology, InfoWars has been at the forefront of the information revolution. From 8 million radio listeners, over 2 million YouTube subscribers, or the billions of views of our online content, InfoWars proves dominant in every facet of media we enter. For the hardest-hitting reports, uncompromising analysis, for high-profile interviews and bombshell revelations, accept no substitutes. Demand truth. Demand InfoWars. InfoWars. Tomorrow's news today.
This is undoubtedly the most important broadcast we've ever done.
All right, guys. Hey, you're back. This is the Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite studio. I'm your host, Moto. You're watching Let the People Decide. Let's talk about everything that's been going on around here, huh? For those of you that don't know, Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite found its genesis in opposing the tax hike that was saddled onto the people of Oklahoma last year. With a looming budget surplus, our legislature passed a $447 million tax hike, the largest tax hike in the history of the state of Oklahoma. Now, unfortunately, our petition efforts to put that tax measure on the ballot was shot down by another appendage of government, the Oklahoma Supreme Court. We were rattled at first, but then it occurred to us, if we can't overcome the system, and we are the grassroots activists, we are the people that are out there on the ground making it happen for all of the levels above us, then who possibly could? You know, we had a massive coalition of grassroots groups and Republicans and conservatives that opposed that tax hike. And they got run over by gaslighting from the media and our legislatures and our public school system. So we understood that what we were going to need was an antenna. We were going to need a media operation to get our message across so that someone couldn't come and tell our potential supporters what our message was for us. So we started buying microphones, buying cameras, hiring producers, asking people that are in the political sphere in Oklahoma to come in and sit down and talk to us and tell us what they knew. We started showing up at their meetings. We started becoming active in their processes. So now Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite has transitioned from just a petition to fight taxes to a focal point for not only grassroots media, but the frustration of liberty lovers everywhere. You know, we're not corporate filtered. We're not corporate sponsored. We have some small businesses that write us checks, and we're very grateful. They keep us afloat around here along with our Patreon subscribers. But no one is going to call me after the show and tell me that they didn't like what I said and that they're going to stop giving me their money. That's just not how our people work around here. So we can tell you the truth. We can ask the hard questions. We can tell you whenever a candidate does not belong in the Republican Party. Stephanie Bites. Ugh! Not a conservative. Oh, sorry. I don't know what came over me, but Meredith Van Zandt, she's a Democrat. But we think it's the responsibility of good Republicans and conservatives to lead their neighbors and give them information that's being kept from them by the establishment, the status quo, and the mainstream corporate bought and paid for failing dinosaur media. So now that we are an alternative media apparatus and a citizen journalism apparatus, it's time for us to get some backup around here. So if you think you've got what it takes to host a show on hashtag OTUmedia's network, or if you're a blogger, if you're a cartoonist, if you make dank memes, whatever you think you can contribute to the fight around here, get a hold of us. Inbox us on Facebook at Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite. Email us at oklahomataxpayersunite@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to do, and we'll see if we can fit you into the fight somewhere. 100% sure that we can. Unless you're an underwater basket weaver or something of that nature, that might be a little tough. But other than that, you guys put your hands on the oars. Get in the fight here. Glory awaits. We're headed into a war in 2020, and we cannot wait to beat some Democrat butt. All right, I think that's going to do it for me, guys. And I'm going to eject myself like this ink pen. And you guys make sure that you tune back in next week, though, okay? And go to the website, oklahomataxpayersunite.com. Go to the Patreon, patreon.com/OTUmedia. Subscribe on the YouTube channel and comment, share, like, smash those buttons, okay? We appreciate you. Thank you so much.